6 o'clock, we'll get started. Welcome council, staff, and our special guests this evening. As we gather this evening, we pause to remember that in this province, we live and work on lands that are by law the unceded territories of the Wabanaki peoples, predominantly the land of the Mi'kmaq. May we live with respect on this land and live in peace and friendship with its people. We also recognize the African Nova Scotians whose culture, heritage, and history have been and remain a key part of our province for more than 400 years. And with that, I'd like to ask for the approval of the agenda. Moved by Deputy Mayor Dorrington, seconded by Councillor McDonald. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carried. Thank you. This evening, we have a special proclamation signing in honor of Kin Week. And we have a couple of our esteemed kinsmen here with us this evening. So I would like to read the proclamation and then you can join us to sign, if that's okay. Whereas Kin Canada has been a vibrant and responsible all-Canadian service organization devoted to serving communities across Canada since 1920. Whereas Kin Canada clubs and their members have demonstrated excellence, pride, integrity, inclusiveness, and compassion in their pursuit of further enriching our community. Whereas Kin Canada is celebrating its 105th anniversary on February 20th, 2025. Therefore, I, Mayor Nancy Dix of the town of New Glasgow, feel that all members of our community would welcome the opportunity to celebrate our local club and Kin Canada's rich history of serving the community's greatest need with great honor. I do hereby declare Thursday, February 20th, 2020, Kin Canada Day, and declare the week of February 16th to 22nd, 2025, Kin Canada Week as a celebration of all Kin Canada clubs. Further, I encourage all in our community to thank and congratulate our local Kin Canada Club members who give so generously of their time and talent for the betterment of our region. So I'm going to sign, and I'd ask you to come forward and receive this. And great chance for a photo. I see you were your chain of command, Ron. But I didn't.
I got a spare in the truck.
So we have with us this evening Ron Jones. Are you the president this year? Or?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. And Terry,
Past president.
past president. So welcome. And I think it would be great if all council could gather around and we'll get a picture.
I'm gonna do what?
I think I can get.
Picture table, can you get?
Yeah, I can get.
We're all dancing.
Oh my God. Let's wait till everybody arrives.
They're behind you. Oh,
Now you can't be seen, Jocelyn. I hope you guys
You guys can
can be seen down there. Maybe you stand on the other side of Terry here.
You kneel down. I'm almost a kid.
Where's Jocelyn?
She's right here beside me.
Oh, okay.
I'm blocking her in the
I'm
block.
cooking, okay, to take words anymore.
Everybody eyes on the Becca.
I'll try one from right here too, but it might be too close.
That's 3 years off. You're 19.
I'll grab one or two.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Do you, yeah. I don't know where you're gonna hang it. I don't know where you're gonna hang it.
We'll look at it. Same time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, yes, yes.
Ronnie's correct.
Running.
Participating in may not be I hope it's appropriate to acknowledge Ron, this evening. His dad died, on the weekend, and Wes Jones, who was a well-known businessman for many, many years in the community. So Ron, our thoughts are with you, family, at this time. I know he lived a wonderful life.
Thanks, your worship. We have to go, we have a meeting to get to.
I'll tell God if you're not there.
Don't wanna miss the meal, Jim. Thank you.
Good night. Okay, next we have a very special presentation this evening from the Rich County Historical Society. And I'd like to acknowledge the members that are here. Great that everyone's come out to support each other. So we have James Lee and Crystal Lee. No, Rebecca Lee, Crystal Barkley, John McMullen, and Susan McIntosh. So welcome, and James, I believe you're going to do the presentation.
Yes. I guess I'll just check now. Is everybody able to hear me? Able to try and,
I think you need the mic. We're being recorded, by the way.
how's that?
I think you have to hold it right up to your.
Right up here.
Yeah.
Well, good evening, everybody.
Are there any questions from council? I go ahead, Councillor Fraser.
Thank you, James, for the presentation. We've seen you around the 86 Temper Street.
86.
86, we've seen you around the neighborhood quite a bit lately. We're very pleased to have such a young group of newcomers to the life that John McMillan's lived for a long, long time. John's been our key bridging the gap between, which say the old and the new. Maybe not. Anyway, I really appreciate the what you've been doing, the leadership your group is providing, and the raising of awareness to the greater community. And I would think that one thing you should tap into, I noticed I got a version of your overview that was sort of first draft. I think it's a lot more meat than this. I don't know if I noticed whether there was any engagement with the students in the school, because I think that's one issue. I always felt being in the school system, I always felt a little bit guilty not getting these kids out to the museum. And it's important for people in our community to pass this along to the following generations. And you're showing a good example of that yourself.
If I could respond to that point, I mean, that's actually something we've identified in our strategic planning, is engaging with schools. I think there's a few different ways we can do that. One that we've been talking about is our oral history programs we've been developing. And one way that could involve youth would be to get them to partner up and go out and interview older members of the community, to collect those stories before they're lost forever. But then I guess a more tangible way of doing that is getting into the schools themselves. I'm aware that in the middle school curriculum in the province right now, there is a heritage fair that goes on. We're looking at more so targeting high school students to do a history fair and specifically focusing on what history means as opposed to heritage. And prompt students to get into the archive, get into their local community, and look at the stories that are there to be told. So that's definitely something we're looking at exploring in the future. Thank you.
James, thank you for the presentation this evening. Question I had, you've made allusion a couple of times to the fact that it's a hindrance to not own the Stewart House property. In the balance overall, do you see it as an advantage or a disadvantage that the town owns the building?
I think it's a strategic advantage, really. I mean, the fact of the matter is that other institutions like ours, without a partnership with the town, wouldn't be able to manage all of the costs associated with that. Like, we're very grateful that the town maintains the building that we're in. And we're also recognize the different financial pressures that the town experiences. And these are the sort of partnerships that heritage institutions need to engage in to be able to make themselves fruitful. So in our case here, where we're in the spots right here in the downtown of Glasgow where tourists come to visit, that's a net bonus for us. Whereas if we weren't in a space like that, we might be out in a business park or somewhere out in the fringes where we just won't get as much traffic. So yes, I would say in the net balance of things, it is good for us to be in the building owned by the town. My comments are more directed at the limitations on funding from the province, if you appreciate that.
I do appreciate that, thank you.
Councillor McDonald.
Yes, James, thank you very much for your presentation. I didn't recognize you in your modern your period costume. Just wondering if you've reached out to some of the other municipalities or in the county, as you may mention that it is a county museum. I'm not sure if you have reached out to them for a presentation or.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's in our upcoming plans. We've kind of looked at the town of New Glasgow as one of our first and longest partners that we should be working with. But it is worth mentioning, I don't know if you got it in the breakdown sheet of our finances there that was distributed earlier today, but we do receive a modest grant from other towns and the county as well in the area.
One suggestion I may make is your worship sits on Mayors and Wardens committee, which meet once a month. It may be an opportunity for you to present there and let their appetite for maybe some involvement.
Thank you for that suggestion.
Any other questions or comments for James? James, I know you know this, but I think it's important we mention it this evening. It's of course our 150th I would say birthday, anniversary, I guess is more appropriate. And James joined us at the last meeting, and we were really, really pleased to have you there, James, and the opportunities to share the history of New Glasgow, of course, become quite obvious with the Carmichael Stewart House. So we look forward to opportunities that you had shared with us, and we're really excited about that. And I do want to thank you and your board. You know, watching it over the years, it's hard. It's hard to maintain a board to begin with. And you know, you've done really, really wonderful work and done great work in the gardens, which is in itself a pretty amazing space, the Heritage Garden, and all that the museum itself entails. And I really, on behalf of the town, I want to tell you how much we appreciate that. And we hope we can continue to be a supporting partner over the years. So thank you to everyone for coming this evening. Really appreciate the presentation. Thank you. You can certainly stay if you wish. We're just going to go through the rest of the council meeting. So I'd like to ask for the approval of the consent agenda, which includes the minutes of the meetings held on January 20th and proclamations. Moved by Deputy Mayor Dorrington, seconded by Councillor Peters. Any question on the motion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, everyone. Next, on to approval of reports, the Committee of the Whole report.
Your worship, I'll move that we accept the committee of the whole report submitted.
Seconded.
I'll second.
That's moved by Councillor McDonald, seconded by Councillor McKenna. Any questions on the motion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The finance report.
Your worship, I would move that we accept the financial report as circulated in our package.
Moved by Councillor Fraser. I'll second that. Seconded by Councillor Peters. Any question on the motion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. The engineering and public works report.
Yes, your worship, I'll move that we accept the engineering public works report as submitted.
Moved by Councillor McDonald. Seconded by Deputy Mayor Dorrington. Any questions on the motion?
Question, your worship.
Go ahead.
More of a comment. I'd just like to just acknowledge that I've been on the Sanford Trail the last few weeks, and the salting and sanding has been excellent. Just wanted to pass that along.
Thank you, Councilor McDonald. I'll pass that on to staff.
Any other questions?
Similarly, I took pictures of the Pioneer Trail. It looks really good. It has, I don't know about the regular ice here right now. It's been difficult for everybody, but it looks great, and it's been really nice to be able to walk out. Thank you.
As do our roads and sidewalks. Thank you. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Solid waste report.
Solid waste report circulated.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Dorrington,
Second.
seconded by Councillor Fraser. Any questions on the motion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The police report.
I move to accept the report circulated.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Dorrington,
I'll second that.
seconded by Councillor McDonald. Go ahead, Councillor McKenna.
Chief Leo, I guess it's not a question as much as it is an alarm, I guess, to see that there were 45 occurrences of domestic violence in January. Certainly, intimate partner violence is increasing, and it's getting a lot of media attention across the province, but to see that kind of number in 1 month in our town is very alarming. That's all I have to say.
Just,
Go ahead.
if I could, just to that comment, Councilor McKenna, that's exactly why we started to put this data into the report, so it is visible. So just to shed more light on the epidemic that it is and the problem, and that New Glasgow is not immune to this problem as well. We're going to continue to track this for our own awareness internally as well. What I can say confidently is that we put a tremendous amount of effort into prioritizing our response to domestic violence. In fact, today at the Glasgow Square training opportunity that was organized and facilitated by Sergeant Kelly Moore Reid had registrations that exceeded 70 individuals from across agencies, police, probation, Nova Scotia Health, Sheriff Services. I could go on. So it was a great initiative. I took part in that this morning, and well, the folks that were attending, and we are very fortunate in our police service. We have two subject matter experts in domestic violence. We have two trainers, both Sergeant Kelly Moore Reid and Sergeant Claire Corkum, who have been trainers in domestic violence for a number of years. So we're very fortunate to have those resources internally, and the connectivity that we have with the shelter here locally and provincial resources as well. So I can say that from the policing perspective, that we continue to hold domestic violence as a top priority, and we just want to make sure that we're reminding ourselves of the data, but sharing that data so everyone else is aware of it.
Wake up call, really. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? I just have a quick question. Just a quick update on the downtown community policing officer. Just quickly, how are things going, I guess?
Your worship, the feedback through conversations and interacting with folks downtown community, whether it be business owners, residents, visitors, everything has been really, really positive. It's the sample that we have, whereas we launched the program in September, early September, obviously not going into a great season for the downtown area. So the sample that we have so far, albeit positive, I'm looking forward to the spring and the summer. We're planning some different initiatives and different ways to use that resources and the location, the facility itself. We're planning a community launch for the downtown office as well, so we can raise awareness to the community and folks know that it's there, how it's being used, when it's being used, what it's being used for. So I'm looking forward to the spring and summer to be able to properly assess the program itself, and we are working with both Constable Ryan Tebow and the Deputy Chief as well to come up with a monthly reporting mechanism.
Great.
So relevant data that we want to capture to highlight that program. So we are open to any and all feedback on it as well.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's great to hear. Thank you. Any further questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Our community development report.
Your worship, I'll submit the second community development report as submitted.
I'll second that.
Moved by Councillor McDonald, seconded by Councillor Peters. Any question on the motion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Business Development Officer report.
Yes, your worship, I would move that we accept the business development officer's report. Business development officer is Frank McFarland, whose major responsibility is the New Scotland Business Development Corporation.
Moved by Councillor Fraser,
I'll second that.
seconded by Councillor McDonald. Any questions on the motion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. The fire report and the fire inspection report.
Yes, your worship, I move that we accept the fire report and fire inspection report as circulated.
Moved by Councillor Peters,
Seconded.
seconded by Deputy Mayor Dorrington. Any questions on the motion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. The information technology report.
Yes, Your Worship, I would move that we accept the report as circulated in our package.
Moved by Councillor Fraser,
I'll second that.
seconded by Councillor McDonald. Any question on the motion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Human Resources and Corporate Communications report.
Yes, Your Worship, I move that we accept the Human Resources and Corporate Communications report as circulated.
Moved by Councillor Peters, seconded by Councillor McKenna. Any questions on the motion? I want to say a special thank you to Rebecca for her work. Everybody, I thank you everybody for your work, but I just want to say a special thank you to Rebecca who planned the Heritage Day event at the Pictou County Wellness Center yesterday. It was well attended and very much appreciated, so thank you for that. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you to all our staff for all the great work you do. On to 9, motions and notice of motions.
Your Worship, I do have, I'm going to ask for a different motion here. I have received several concerns about the particular development agreement application, written and verbal. So I'm going to motion that we ask for a supplementary report from the Development Department, from Jeffrey, on some of these concerns. I have some concerns. I walked the property myself. I do have some concerns with the elevation around sewer and utilities that way. I do have some issues with the actual size of the easement and possible power connections there in the future. So there are several other ones, but I won't bore us. But the motion would be to ask Jeffrey to submit a development supplementary report on some of those concerns.
So that is the motion by Councillor McDonald. Seconded by Deputy Mayor Dorrington. Any further questions on the motion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you for that. Under new business, our accounts.
Yes, Your Worship, I would move that, yes, Your Worship, I would move that we pay the accounts as circulated in our package.
Moved by Councillor Fraser,
I'll second it.
seconded by Councillor McDonald. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn by Councillor McKenna. Take a 4-minute break. approval of the agenda? Moved by Deputy Mayor Dorrington,
I'll second that.
seconded by Councillor Peters. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carried. We'll go to matters for senior staff. We have a recommendation from the Director of Community Development, our Equity and Anti-Racism Plan. The motion to is approve the adoption of the Town of New Glasgow's Equity and Anti-Racism Plan, Celebration of Diversity, the Path for Our Future.
So move to accept.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Dorrington,
I would, access this one, didn't I?
You're seconded.
Seconded.
seconded by Councillor Fraser. Any questions on the motion? Go ahead, Councillor Peters.
Yes, your worship, I just wanted to say that I thought it was very well done and just, it was done in a very tight timeline and it was easy work to do, so, thank you.
Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead, Councillor McKenna.
Likewise, I read the report a couple times and it's certainly impressive. Just wondering, I had an incident that I was made aware of recently, and it kind of just made me think. It was involving new Canadians from India, and I was getting some furniture for them and asked them how they're getting along and if they've had any feedback. And the most common feedback is, "What are you doing here? Go back to where you came from." And it made me, first of all, sad to hear that, because it wasn't common, but they heard it a couple of times. Friends and other people, newcomers, have reported the same thing. Is there an opportunity to record those somewhere, or to keep track of those, or for someone who is new to the community to have a vehicle to share that? Has that been discussed at all, Michelle?
Your worship,
Go ahead.
Councillor McKenna. Certainly, part of the engagement strategy that's going to be created as a part of this, and in particular in terms of communication, will be first and foremost in terms of having conversations with the community. Because you're quite right, what we're seeing is a rise in and an escalation in certain levels of really anti-hate rhetoric that's happening within community, and that's not just the town of New Glasgow. We're seeing it certainly across Canada, that's being reported. And so it's the opportunity to have really careful conversations so that no further harm is done, in particular with those communities. And so working with with the Multicultural Association and other community-based groups that already have that level of trust with community, to be able to see and to have further opportunity in terms of what we as a town can do, and to move certainly not necessarily the stories, but in terms of the real harm that those words have on a population that I don't think many people really quite understand. And when I say many people, those of us, of white skin that live, and have lived in Pictou County their entire lives, it's not part of a lived experience, but it's real harm that's being caused on populations. So certainly that's first and foremost in terms of the opportunity for community engagement.
Thank you, and no matter how much we do positive, one or two of those kinds of complaints, that is a real setback as well, because those tend to be remembered, and it does create an unwelcoming environment to new conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And it's also our responsibility to stand up and talk about those stories, and talk about them even around our kitchen tables, around our community, when we're visiting businesses, and to have those real conversations in terms of taking a stand as citizens of New Glasgow and of Pictou County, to be able to say that this is not something that we're going to tolerate.
Thank you.
I just want to mention, actually, yes, in our police report this evening, there is a mention of that. So Chief Leo, maybe you can speak to that.
Sure. Thank you, Worship. So we've embarked on planning stages for a hate crime and hate incident public awareness campaign. And biggest, or the most complicated part of that will be the engagement piece and what that will look like. And we are working with a consulting firm that we had in about a year and a half ago to train all of our officers on investigating motivated crimes, but also to differentiate between a hate incident. So just as you spoke about, Councillor McKenna, a hate motivated incident, although there may not be an element of crime, what we want to educate the public on is the difference between the two, but also the value in reporting hate motivated incidents to the police in terms of data collection and putting pieces of bigger puzzles together, if you will. So why that, how to report, what the police do with that information, and why it's important. So that's what we're building right now, and we're hoping to launch that sometime between March and April.
Thank you for that. One of the challenges for newcomers from some countries they come from is that the police are not seen as a big place to go, and they have to learn that it is safe here, and it's a challenge to do that when they lived in countries or communities where the police are corrupt and or part of the problem.
Absolutely, and that's why I refer to the complexity of the community engagement piece, because we're very aware and we're sensitive to that, and we have worked a little bit with Victor County Partnership with providing them some information to educate newcomers on the role of police in Canada to generate some of that awareness as well. So those are the types of issues that we'll be very sensitive to moving forward.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Dorrington.
I have two comments. One is, this has been going on for eons and eons and eons, and it hasn't been addressed in a proactive manner as we're attempting to do now. However, I think one of the things we have to do as a town is work with our other partners, like the Public Partnership, Nova Scotia Health, places that are actually recruiting new arrivals into the workplace. Now, it might not be happening in their workplace, but they might talk to other colleagues that they're hearing this in the community. So that would be an avenue whereby we can start to collect some of the data. I think that's very important. And it's also in some of the new communities. There might be a small group of people who are the leaders in that community that have small engagement sessions with those folks, so that they're aware of what that is all about. And the second point I want to make is, as much as we talk about the anti-hate, there is no criminal code for hate. And so that's a misnomer for me, because it's misleading, because students say, well, that's a hate crime. Well, we don't have a hate crime. There's no crime. I mean, there's no policy in place, if I'm correct. Chief.
There is an offense for willful promotion of hate.
Yeah.
However, when you talk about hate as a motive for a crime, it simply becomes a aggravating factor in sentencing when there is a conviction.
And I think that's what people need to know, as opposed to thinking that there's a statute out there that speaks to it. And I think it's incumbent on all of us is to, anytime we hear it or hear about it, is to do what we can as our social responsibility around that, whether they're newcomers, whether they're here, whether it's based on whatever it's based on. I think that's, it's growing by leaps and bounds due to this climate that we're living in.
Thank you for that. Any further questions or comments? I think we had a mover and a second, we just need to vote, okay? So all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Once again, thank you very, very much for all your time and effort and expertise in putting this together. And I think, I don't think we can leave without saying that this is a town of the Glasgow project, and all of our staff and council for sure, and our citizens are part of making this happen. So thank you. Next, we have a recommendation from the Director of Community Development again, our Community Resiliency Hub. The motion is to approve the adoption of the Town of Glasgow's Resiliency Hub policy.
Yes, your worship. All right, please. Yeah, I would definitely move that we accept this recommendation for the community resiliency hub.
Moved by Councillor Fraser, seconded by Councillor Peters. Any questions on the motion? There was just something I was going to ask. At the Community Development Committee, yeah, it was mentioned some of the things in particular that, other than what every community center would be provided, there were some things in particular that weren't available at certain centers. Have those things been considered?
Thank you, your worship. Yes, they have been. They will be built into the budget, so you'll see the budget will reflect some of those very things that we had the conversation about. In particular, we know certain communities are affected differently.
Right.
In emergency situations, that a resiliency center might be opened. And so we do need to have some consideration in terms of working directly with those community-based centers to determine which items are most needed within those communities.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments, Deputy Mayor Moulton?
Just a comment, I recognize that community centers using a volunteer board, but because of if we have those emergencies, it could be quite a long day for some of them. Is there any mechanism that we're going to encourage those boards, or we as citizens of Glasgow to have a core group of volunteers to support those resiliency hubs during emergencies? I think that's something that maybe we can take on as a town to try to generate a core group that will help those community centers in case they're called to the mat for that.
So one of the things that has been instituted by the province is the Nova Scotia Guard. So there's 3 levels of volunteers that people can sign up for, and that is essentially the purpose of the Nova Scotia Guard, is to offset volunteer burnout that may occur when conference centers are established, resiliency hubs in our case, where we would have 3 community centers, but we recognize that, you know, it is volunteer driven, and I knowingly know we have a lot of people that have also stepped up for Nova Scotia Guard, including some of our staff. But the purpose of the Guard is to have a really robust provincial-wide volunteer base at the different levels of skill set that can come in and support communities through those challenging events that may occur.
Councillor Peters?
Yes, your worship. I just wanted to clarify about the policy, and I know that the 3 community centers are on the community development committee, and that's where they would see this policy. Were they all present for the meeting and they all endorsed it? I didn't know that, at least I just.
Any further questions? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you again for that. Next, we have a recommendation from the Assistant Director of Engineering and Public Works. The motion is to approve the award of the Town of Glasgow 25 Public Works 001 Town of Glasgow Dam and Spillway Upgrades Request for Proposals to the only qualified bid submission for Mitchell Moore Engineering Company Limited in the amount of $300,000 plus HST for the design phase of the project to be started in 24-25 with completion in 25-26, using funds from the Town of Glasgow approved 24-25 water utility capital budget. Furthermore, it is the recommendation to provide 25-26 and 26-27 water utility capital budget pre-approval to approve the award of the provisional item construction services included in the request for proposals. Town of Glasgow Dam and Spillway upgrades to the only qualified bid submission for Mitchell Moore Engineering Company Limited in the amount of $285,000 plus HST, along with $30,000 plus HST for material testing.
Your worship, I would recommend that we follow the Assistant Director of Engineering and Public Works recommendation and move this.
Moved by Councillor McDonald, seconded by Councillor McKenna. Any questions on the motion?
Yes, just one.
Go ahead, Councillor McKenna.
I noticed that in the package, quite detailed package, you might add, is that the workers' compensation registration expires March 31st. Does that matter?
Oh, your worship will make sure that's updated and current for the contract.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carried. Next, under committee reports, there's a memo on the Pitt County Shared Service Association Authority update and decision required. So perhaps what we'll do is a motion to receive the report, the memo, and then we'll do a motion on the item that we need a motion on.
Your worship.
Okay, moved by Councillor McDonald, seconded by Councillor Peters. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carried. And the motion would be to follow the recommendation of staff to not implement the optimal service of bulky waste collection. You know, we can't have a negative motion.
Could we make
So we make it a positive motion and then we can vote against it.
What you should do is just say that you not opt in, that you don't accept the option. Like the decision is around, do you want that additional service or
Mhm.
not? And you're saying, no, you're not gonna exercise that option.
Your worship, I'll make the motion that we opt out of the petition.
Moved by Councillor McDonald. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councillor McKenna. Any questions on the motion?
Just a question.
Sure.
Would part of that, would that be the same thing as not having the soft and hardcover books at the curbside? I think that's
No,
part of-
that's through the EPR.
So this is an additional service that citizens on collection day would be able to put out bulky items.
One, bulky, so in the package, the option with the new contract was that you could have an additional bulky item. It's not collected with your normal collection. They identify your address, then they send another vehicle out to collect them. And then the municipality is on the hook for all of the costs of every home having the option. Then all of the tipping fees and transportation fees associated with that collection. So the best case of an example for the county was their tipping fees by allowing people to actually take their materials. And it's in the $200,000 range, which again, is very difficult to budget for. But an extra $200,000 on our budget would probably equate to about 5 cents residentially for the collection.
This is in addition to the spring cleanup.
Yes.
This is in addition to any of the current things that are already in our collection.
Thank you.
I think that would be hard to manage in some cases if they didn't get it out in time, or they didn't notify that they had something out and then kind of get them to take it back in.
So we've already had, so we also have to have everyone participate. So there have been other municipalities in Pictou County that have already made the decision they're not participating, because that's also a driver.
It also relieves landlords of responsibilities of cleaning up after their
This
tenants.
is for residential pickup. So landlords over 4 units are on their own anyway.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you for that. Next, there's a memo from the mayors and warden.
Excuse me.
Oh, sorry.
Just going back, I think we have to notify citizens of New Glasgow that starting in December. The soft covered and hardcover books will not be picked up curbside. And
So that's happened, the communication's happening through the Shared Service Authority through the EPR program. So all of the EPR, the Extended Producer Responsibility communications will actually come from the Shared Service Authority, because all the municipalities have designated them with the implementation of that. So any of the changes with respect to the recycling collection will all come through the Shared Service Authority. And it will be consistent message to all residents within Pictou County.
my question is, then what will the residents do with these things?
So we don't know all the details of EPR yet because they haven't been released, but that's just the update that was provided at the last meeting.
Thank you for the clarification.
There will be more to come, guaranteed. Okay, the memo from the mayors and warden and the update, the mayors and warden update.
Motion to receive, your worship.
Moved by Councillor McDonald. Seconded by Councillor Peters. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, under new business, we have a proposal from Viola's Place Society, and the recommendation to is for approval of funding allocation towards the development of a regional strategy to address housing and homelessness across Pictou County to a maximum of $2,500, provided all municipal units equally contribute to the overall study cost. Moved by Deputy Mayor Dorrington, seconded by Councillor Fraser. Are there any questions on the motion?
Your worship.
Go ahead.
Maybe for the director of finance there. Is this coming out of this year's budget, or is this going to be paid in?
It will, based on the discussion at the mayors and warden, it would probably be in next fiscal. By the time that the council meetings are taking place, there's only 3 municipal units that have made decisions, and by the time all the decisions come in, it'll be after April. It'll be next fiscal.
Thank you. Second question is, how is the vote with the other 3 municipalities?
So the town of Stellarton, Trenton, and Westville have all met and agreed to date. And Pictou and the municipality of the county of Pictou, their meetings are forthcoming, so once they make a decision, we'll be notified.
Okay, thank you, that's all.
Any other questions? Go ahead, Councillor Peters.
Thank you, your worship. I know I've probably had this come across my desk at some point, but had we determined what costs to us as a town we incur like on a monthly, yearly basis as a result of responding and managing some of the issues that we dealt with as a result of the.
We haven't been collecting that specifically because it has been something that has actually impacted fire, public works, police, but I would say, you know, the $2,500, we probably spend that by Wednesday of every week with the amount of like service calls, cleanups, picking up shopping carts, emptying needle bins, etc.
Your worship, if I may,
Yes, go ahead.
on the finance report, these are just cost specifically tagged to encampment needles. We're currently at the end of January at $6,100, and that's just specific to clean up. So for the CAO Donald's comments, there's other costs probably buried in the various departments, but specific invoices that came in for needle encampment cleanup, 6,100.
So just to be clear, are you saying just in that 1 month alone?
No, until June,
Okay,
yeah, for the year to date, January.
year to date.
Thank you, but many other costs.
That's just encampment and meal.
And that's through a contract.
Thank you.
So you'd be looking at probably around $7,000 for the year. if you can. Just for-
For that contractors.
Yeah, specifically. Like, I agree, there's hidden costs.
Yeah. That's right.
Thank you. Any further questions? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Also in your package, we've received from the municipality of Chester. It's regarding concern they have with the code of conduct.
Motion to receive, your worship.
Moved by Councillor McDonald. Seconded by Councillor Fraser.
I'd like to comment.
Yes, go ahead.
I thought that this explanation that was provided by Chester's understanding, and I think it was a very practical approach to the issue at hand. Therefore, I support the elements of that.
Thank you. Any other comments? Just will mention that this was also brought up at the code of conduct meeting that we attended in Truro, and it involved quite a lengthy discussion and concern by many, so they were certainly going to look at that. So we had a motion to approve or seconder and
Motion to receive. Yeah.
motion to receive, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. We've also received a letter from the Minister of Emergency Management.
Motion to receive, your worship.
Moved by Councillor McDonald, seconded by Deputy Mayor Dorrington. Any questions on the motion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. And we've received a letter from the town of Stellarton in a response to the Minister of Emergency Management.
Motion to receive.
Moved by Councillor McKenna, seconded by Councillor Peters. Any questions on the motion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. We have a letter from the Pitt County Sports Hall of Fame, and the recommendation is to refer the funding request for council's consideration to our budget deliberations for fiscal 2025-2026.
Your worship, I'll motion that we accept the recommendation.
Moved by Councillor McDonald, seconded by Deputy Mayor Dorrington. Any questions on the motion?
Question.
Go ahead.
Again, for the Director of Finance, I believe we have been granting that particular number in the past few years.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any further questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We have a letter from Ryan's Cases for Smiles. The recommendation is to refer the attached funding request for council's consideration during the grant discussion of our budget deliberations for fiscal 2025-2026.
Your worship, I'll motion that we accept the
Moved by Councillor McDonald. Seconded by Deputy Mayor Dorrington. Any questions on the motion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Finally, there is a letter that was sent to the mayors and wardens. It was from a letter from the Minister of Municipal Affairs.
Motion to receive.
Moved by Councillor Peters,
I'll second that.
seconded by Councillor McDonald. Any questions on the motion? I believe I'd like to add at this time concerning this was received and the next day we received information from the Nova Scotia Federation Municipalities to take time and wait for more information. So we'll receive this, but that was the request, so. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Thank you, everyone. That ends our committee of the whole meeting. A motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone.